In Collington County now, prosecutors say they will not be pressing charges in the death of a 10-year-old girl who was involved in a school fight before her death. Investigators say the coroner's report ruled she died of natural causes. They say blood vessels in the back of Renaya Wright's brain ruptured and caused her death. The pathologist who performed the test found no evidence the fight or trauma contributed to her death. During a news conference today, the solicitor talked about why they decided to not charge anyone, while Renaya's mother and her attorney questioned the decision, saying they want to know more about the pathologist's report.
According to the pathologist, these hemorrhages can take place just about at any time. The short answer to that question is yes, because the fight did not have anything to do with her passing away. It did not have anything to do with the rupture. And it did not facilitate it. At least there's no evidence of that. So the answer is yes, it was a matter of time, unfortunately, that this would rupture, and the rupture, and of course the other issue with this is, as I said earlier, this can be in any part of the body or in a number of parts of the body. In this case, it was in her brain.
What was the trigger for the rupture? Why and how did it happen? We will ask her if a child with this issue is beaten about the head, has her head rammed into a file cabinet, has been placed in a chokehold, has her head rammed into a bookshelf, and has a brick-sized object fall on her head, would it trigger the event that ultimately led to her death? We want to hear directly from medical professionals. Of course, we're going to be engaging our own experts.
First, want to say I want to talk about my child. That's the first thing that I want to talk about. My child was very healthy. That's number one. She was very healthy. She played basketball. She played the whole season, no problems. She was very active with her little brother as well as her friends and family. Let me just clear that, the air right there. Any medical issues, I have known about none of them until this situation occurred.
Well, we have heard a lot of your questions about the condition of the pathology report, blaming the little girl for her death. Medical reporter Rosemarie Beltz is joining us now. And what is the actual name of the condition that caused her death?
So it's arteriovenous malformation, right? And it's really unfortunate that this is, the family is going through this, by the way, and it's really complicated, and there's, a lot of layers. There was a lot of talk on social media, so, which is why we're talking about it today.
So what causes this condition?
So first, I just want to talk a little bit about basic vascular anatomy, which could be pretty complex, as you can see just from the image that is up on the screen there. So, we have our arteries that bring oxygenated, nutrient-rich blood to our bodies, and then through the capillary system delivers that oxygen and nutrient to the tissues, and then we have the veins that bring the deoxygenated blood, back to the heart, and then we keep repeating this system over and over again. And this sort of malformation is that the blood is actually detouring. It's basically taking a shortcut. So through that middle system, the capillary system, where the nutrients and oxygen are getting delivered to our tissue, and in this case, parts of the brain, it's just not happening. It's being bypassed. So it's significant.
Are some people more at risk than others of getting this?
Well, that's a really good question. So it does happen primarily in males, but it can happen to anyone. And I just kind of want to go back a little bit, which causes something like this to happen. So doctors really don't know what causes this actual condition. They do believe that it happens during development, in embryo, fetal development. About 300,000 Americans are affected. So it is considered a rare disorder. But yes, some people are more at risk. Those can be male, but I just want to stress that this can really happen to anybody. Right,
so if you're born with it, how would you know someone had it? This little girl's mother said she knew of no medical condition like this with her daughter.
Okay, so this is another situation where There's different types of AVM. There's some types which, when you're born with it, they notice it immediately. Your head's swollen, and then they know to address it immediately. A lot of times, symptoms might not show up till you're about 10 years old or to 40 years old. You could be asymptomatic. So I think that's a really good, point to bring up here. Develop, like I said, anywhere in your body, and then by the time symptoms show up, you might have severe headache. Sometimes it could cause seizures. You could have changes in your speech. You can have changes in your vision, sort of an unsettlingness that can occur.
What causes the brain AVMs to bleed?
All right, so again, there's a lot of unknowns in this area because it's a rare condition. What I can tell you is that these blood vessels, what causes them to bypass is that they're swollen, they're dilated. So when blood vessels become larger, that's what causes a bleed or an aneurysm. So basically they just become weak. Sometimes pressure changes in the body, and that arterial system causes to spike, and then can then cause it to bleed. You might have a bleed and not even know it.
Really?
Yeah, you might not know it.
Is there anything anybody can do to prevent AVM?
AVM, no. Unfortunately, there isn't anything. So one of the mysteries that comes with not knowing that causes a syndrome or a condition is they're still questionable of how they treat it and what can prevent it. So really, they're not sure of a genetic component. There have been cases where it's been passed down through families. They don't know if that's just a coincidence. In embryo, there's nothing that you can do differently. Right. It's just a congenital defect, what we call that you're born with.
All right, we are running out of time.
Okay.
Quickly, is there a way to treat this?
There are, it really depends on where it is in the brain, what size it is. They might just observe it, medically treat it. But this is not something that they normally screen for in little kids. So I just want to get that point across. And, lifestyle changes with that medical management, just kind of taking it easy, no contact sports. I just think that's an important point to get across.
Never heard of this until this incident with this little girl. So hopefully this will be an eye-opener for some people out there.
Absolutely.
All right, Rosemarie, thank you so very much.
You're welcome.
Up next,